lot of people kind of misconstrue this car because it has a 2JZ. Once
Give me a little bit of a grin.
Yeah,
gosh, that feels amazing. This car has re-sparked my interest in cars.
That would legitimately be my recommendation after like having both these cars back to back.
It's two sides of the same coin.
Oh.
Here we are. Today's the big day. In almost every video we have, we keep talking about carving in the canyons. Here's the canyon. We have back from Clapped, our Baja Blast IS300 that we've been working on for months now. We got all the suspension dialed in, alignment, got some extra bits on the front to make it look really nice. And we thought it would be a good idea to kind of compare this car to my car. You've probably seen the last two videos. We've worked on the Vano system, seals, the cooling system. I got new tires on it, windshield, whole 9 yards. So today we want to get these cars together, go back to back, driving impressions, someone in the passenger seat, and just see kind of which one we like better. We've always been in JDM. This is a new world for us. So will we be faithful to our JDM love, or, you know, do we like the girl next door now? I guess we'll find out.
Okay, car number one.
Come on, JDM,
Yeah.
make me proud. You're my
Okay.
go-to since 06.
Starts right up. Still proud of that. Just like can depend on this thing now, which is awesome. All right, before we get started, the power mode on the gearbox, traction control off button. Just make it as fun as possible with the slush box, and we're good to go.
We're good to go.
Let's see what we got here first. Oh! Anyway. So this is a 2002 Lexus IS300 for anyone who's new to the channel. Welcome, hi.
Yeah, watch our other videos.
Yes.
There's a lot leading up to this.
Yes, we put a whole bunch of work into it, and this has come a very long way. It was undrivable when we got it. Oh, and last thing, manual mode.
Ooh.
Yeah. Get the most out of it.
Use the buttons.
Yes. So yes, 2002 Lexus IS300 just hit 160,000 miles on the odometer, so still pretty young for a Toyota, especially a 2JZ. Let's see, yeah, 3,200 pounds approximately, 215 horsepower, 210 feet of torque, or 18 torque, something like that. Something like that. It's awesome. It's in this Baja Blast blue exterior color, which it was what originally drove me to the car. It was just so exotic looking. It jumped out on Craigslist compared to everything else.
It's getting a lot of attention. I was behind him on our way here, and everyone's looking at it.
Molded to compete against the 3 Series BMW, so borrowed a lot of the styling cues for the dimensions of the car, but then definitely JDM did. So sharper angles, like flat roof, stuff like that. And I think it looks really good. I love the profile of this car from the side. Like it just looks great. So super happy about that. As far as like modifications to the original drivetrain and suspension, it has an intake on it, like aftermarket intake from the previous owner. This Frankenstein exhaust that you can watch us pull out from under the car in a previous video. I think that's about it. Yes, and then suspension wise, it's on CX Racing coilovers, which you probably get a little bit of that undulation right there, but very, very nice on the highway. Like I forgot when I bought the car that it was on coilovers on the drive home. It was just super smooth. We are really enjoying this suspension. So.
Cheap parts have come a long way. I've been impressed too.
Yes.
I'm not a coilover snob, but these have been impressive. I like them. So I think this car's found a really nice blend of internal isolation for a luxury car, but you also still feel outside. Like I don't feel completely disconnected from the road, from the wind, from everything. Like this is my very first time in this car in the mountains, so I'm really looking forward to see how this thing performs. But very first impressions, I'm impressed. Like it feels tight, it's close, and it just feels really good in these turns. That could be a lot to do with the coilovers, but it's really settled. Or the other thing I forgot to mention, which is another video, the Yaibosh sway bars. We got some aftermarket sways on this thing, and so it corners extremely flat. Like it feels so good around these corners. There's zero body roll. There's no body roll. You have like full feedback in the steering wheel. Oh my gosh. I like it. Like so far, there's no creaks, no rattles. Yeah. Like these IS300s are impressive. And that's something that we really like from this era of cars that Justin kind of just touched on, is like you still have a ton of feedback. Like it's a nice car. You feel like the comfort and like the sound isolations. You're not getting all of the road noise in the cabin, but you're not divorced from it. Like, you know, we've been in newer cars where you're just like, you're insulated like in a cocoon, and it's extremely comfortable, but when you want to drive fast, like you have no, like with electronic steering and electronic pedals and like no air noise at all, it's weird. Yeah, you have to be really, really pushing it in order to get like some of the feedback that you want out of a car, where this, it feels like there's a perfect blend of both sports and luxury, which is really nice. I've been impressed by the transmission in the mountains. The way with it in manual mode, it holds its gears and it actually feels pretty good. Decently fun for an auto. Like, you know, I kind of got to zonk the auto just for it being an auto. It's just so much more fun and engaging, which is such a big part of the driving experience, when you can actually, when you're choosing the gears and you're choosing the RPM at every single step, instead of like you kind of get close with the manual mode. You know, it'll work with you a little bit. I think that's probably a con about finding a Lexus in the early 2000s, is that manual transmissions just didn't really exist. Like this car didn't have one, and they realized, oh, we should get one, so they throw a 5-speed into it, and no one bought them. So the odds of finding one, and finding one at a decent price, you're kind of screwed. Yeah, unless you're putting it in on your own, and at this juncture, the parts are out there, but they're really hard to come across. Like you got to kind of scrape together every little piece of the manual thing, and they're not exactly cheap anymore with just JDM tax. Like these cars have, you know, like just all JDM cars have become super expensive. I think only 5% of these cars actually came with a manual. So like you have to like either pay out the wazoo, you know, you're looking at probably 10K plus for any like original manual transmission, or be looking to source one and get it in the car, which can be, you know, it can be prohibitive to a lot of people who want these cars but want it in the fun trim, you know. So yeah, it makes it out of reach. And when these cars are getting more expensive and they're older, at least for me, because I just don't have a lot of money to blow on cars, the more expensive they get, the more I like fragile they feel to me. Yes. And I feel like if this was a $15,000 whatever IS and it was a 5-speed, I would be a little bit more concerned about it than it being an auto and maybe doing a manual swap on it. Right. God, new Tundra in the wild. It's letting you know you can't go into first. Yeah. Yeah, something super interesting. It's not Tiptronics in the back of the steering wheel or anything like that. There are these buttons. It's up on the back of the steering wheel, upshift, and then downshift on the front, where like the horn buttons would be on normal cars or normal newer cars. Definitely different. It has a little bit of a game feel to it. Definitely the sound. Yeah. Yeah. So they're fun to kind of hit in the when you're just sitting at the stoplight. But not as fun as... Does not give this engine its justice, though. Yeah. Gosh, it's just holding it back. You feel it holding it back, like, for sure. Yeah. Oh, man, dude. Like, this... It handles really well. It handles so nicely. Like, it feels so balanced. It's to the point where these seats are already at their limit. Like, I have to hold myself in, because there is zero body roll. Wow. Okay. Like, once giving me a little bit of a grin. I'm the passenger. You're on the passenger side. This is nice.
once we're up at that speed doing those turns, like the thoughts go away. You kind of enter like the grin zone. A lot of people kind of misconstrue this car because it has a 2JZ that it's way too slow, because a 2JZ, you know, with the correct internals in it and everything, the thing makes 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah, 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah,
Supra.
it's basically a 4-door Supra, and then they get in and it's like, oh, this car is slow. I think that's the wrong mindset. I believe this car was set up like a momentum car. Like, this car feels to me way more like a Miata than I imagine a Supra feels. Once you get up to speed and going, it'll hold the speed through all the corners, like especially with the suspension. Like, this thing just just eats up the corners. So
yeah, there's no slowing down once you're in the twisties. The only thing that slows you down are Altimas.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And then another zonk, gas mileage. You would expect it to get a little bit more, like, you know, it has this like little MPG gauge in the gauge cluster. It's like, oh yeah, like you get up to 80 miles per gallon if you drive it right. And
you have your downhill in neutral.
Downhill, and you turn the car off, push it downhill, and you'll get 80 miles per gallon. It is in the teens.
Wow.
Which is kind of wild for
a small car.
A small car like this. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how it compares to the 5 Series.
Yeah, it feels really, really good.
It feels like a toy.
Yeah.
It's definitely a car that, it gives me Miata feels. Better put together. You know, I go back to my old cars, the 240SX. It's so much more rigid than that car ever was. That car, even mine were fastbacks. They just felt flexy, you know, just 80s design. And this car is just firm. It goes where you want it to go, and it definitely has enough momentum up the hills. Like, I'm still pretty impressed by its power uphill.
With its climb and everything.
We've got to be 6,000 plus feet above sea level at the moment. So it is slow, but it definitely isn't like bad.
Yeah.
We're so ruined by new cars and 400, 500, 600 horsepower, and something that's back down into the high 100s, low 200s. We kind of,
Yes. Yeah. If you're thinking about these cars, please don't feel like you're not going to have fun because it only has 200 horsepower.
Right.
Like, the dynamics of this car more than make up for that. Take it on a twisty road and turn it, and you're not going to worry about it not having super power and stuff like that. Definitely at home on stuff like this. So let's
okay.
Yeah,
let's see how I like it.
Yeah. And appreciate you guys bearing with us. This is our first time filming anything like in this style, so if you have any input or feedback, please let us know.
Okay.
It's like a bit of an open road in front of us. Oh yeah. There you go.
I'm in manual mode.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
He's just jumping right in. He's got to get used to it at the same time.
Yeah. The throttle's nice and touchy though. It still has a cable throttle, so it's direct input, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Hydraulic steering, cable throttle, like this. It's just feedback for days.
I can just say right off the bat, like, the steering wheel's a little small. The instrument panel is tight. Yeah, it definitely, I get almost like go-kart vibes from this thing. Like, it is such a shame that it's an automatic because that would just be the icing on the cake to actually just be changing the gears instead of these weird little buttons. But I mean, it has thin door. Yeah, I don't know. It's cool. I've never been in an IS for an extended period of time, so it's nice to finally be in one.
The interior is, or the whole car, 21 years old at this point, and everything in it has held together really well. Like, all the leather pieces are all in great condition. You don't get there's not a ton of wear in them at all. There's a little bit more wear in the cloth than the leather, but everything looks really, really, really clean and sharp still. The dashboard is fading, it's got the sticky dash because it's a 2002, so it's kind of getting a little gross. But for 21 years old, I'm like, you get a feeling of quality when you're in it.
Oh yeah.
So The steering wheel it's so direct. Like it's like, I don't know if hopefully it shows up on the camera, but it's like the littlest turn on the wheel and the whole car just rotates.
Yeah, just
gosh, that feels amazing.
You can feel the rear end just locking into place.
Yeah, just coming in right behind it. Like, oh man, you look forward to every turn.
Yep.
Like anytime the road deviates from straight, your brain starts to like, you get the electrical cracks. Like, you know, am I going fast enough to like put myself in, you know?
Yeah, because you can give this car a lot in the turns.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, this car definitely still has its Toyota DNA. I'm not disconnected at all. This is really fun.
I'm excited, yeah, because he's been driving that BMW, and you know, you know, we'll get in it in a second and see, and you know, and get the whole spiel. But he's been waxing poetic, so the fact that this car can put a smile on his face is like, I'm happy about that. This is definitely going to be apples to oranges. I think, you know, we're comparing two different things, but these are both cars at the bottom of their depreciation schedule. Like this car is starting to get the JDM tax, so it's definitely going back up. I think you used to be able to get these cheaper, but the 5 Series, like that thing is going for peanuts right now. And so this car was kind of designed with the ethos of the E36 in mind. Those cars their prices are going to the stratosphere. Like they're so expensive now, so like it's not really an apples to apples comparison between those two cars, just because it's not the same price in 2023. It's not the same, it's not the same kind of value proposition. So like the 5 Series kind of makes more sense because it's down here in the dregs of, you know, like what you see on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and stuff like that, where you're looking for fun, affordable sports cars, sports sedans, stuff like that. I'm kind of like excited about the back-to-back comparison for that reason. It's because like, yeah, because I'm sure a lot of you guys watching too, it's like we can't afford all these crazy cars that are coming out, and we can't afford a lot of 90s cars now at this point.
Yeah, 90s cars have become 60s muscle cars when we were teenagers. They just shot up in price.
Yeah.
And kind of once you get out of the 2000s into the 2010s, that's when I feel like the more modern car is, where everything's direct injection, heavier, and just all the more modern safety stuff that is starting to take away from this experience. And with that comes higher price and higher maintenance. I feel like 2000s is the end of, you know, early OBD2 cars that you can still go in and just tinker on. And sooner or later, these are going to be gone. And that's going to be it. In another 10 years, these are going to be on a Titanium 2 probably, because people want to go back to a lighter car that's 3,500 pounds. I think this is it. You know, when we were teenagers, late 80s cars were kind of the equivalent to this. They were modern enough and they were cheap enough. And now those are skyrocketing because everyone our age wants nostalgia. So we'll pay a premium for a car that is not worth that much.
Right.
Yeah.
And let us know what if you know, like what other cars kind of in this era are worth kind of taking a look at, because I think we're all in the same boat, just trying to find cheap, fun cars that you can actually turn a wrench on and enjoy.
These are both not really on our radar. I think this one a little bit more than the BMW, but you know, after our dream cars, or not dream cars, but cars that we liked back in the day, tripled in price, quadrupled for some. Yeah. You know, we're having to look elsewhere, and I feel like we've been pleasantly surprised. I thought the 2000s was like just meh. I was not feeling 2000s cars, but now I'm seeing them with a new lens. Like, oh, these are affordable. They're still normal, like mechanically wise. They're not just packed with electronics, and parts are plentiful.
But yeah, we're coming back in.
Yep.
Gonna go ahead and we'll get our camera switched over to the other car, and then we're gonna do the BMW, see what's what.
Yep. Let's do that real quick. And
bam.
Okay.
All right. Sweet. That's fun. Oh, great. Oh my goodness.
Out of the IS into the
Dude,
lazy boy couch.
No, man. I'm already nervous. That was nice. This thing is comfortable.
She's plush.
This is a 2000 BMW 528i with 222,000 miles on it. And it does not feel like that. That's 62,000 more than the IS. just for comparison's sake.
Yeah, it has a lot more than that
a
car.
lot more,
Yeah.
a lot more.
And it is a lot quieter in here than the IS. I'm glad we went in that car first, kind of reset my brain at least, because I drove this up here.
Yeah.
But I'm noticing I'm more in the car. The windows are a little bit further up. The windshield is a lot further away. So a lot of those inputs are unfortunately gone. But this car still has, mechanical steering. It has, everything is still mechanical in this car. So I can still feel it all. It's just a little bit more disconnected than the IS would be. I do still very much enjoy this car in the mountains. It's 34-ish, 100 pounds, has the straight six.
Oh my god.
I can just pull it into wherever I want, and it still carves the canyons exactly how I'd want it to. It's a little bouncy because the suspension is completely shot. I still am a believer that this is the original suspension of this car. It's never been touched. But since it is like the sport package is a little bit lower and it just kind of handles really well. And I have nothing but good things to say about this car. E39 was just, I didn't even think about it. I was such an E36 fan. I just loved this square look, and it was kind of like the, I'm going to be such a broken record. It just reminded me of the 240, just a coupe, thin, just easygoing car. But since those became so expensive for no reason, I had to look elsewhere because I just don't really feel like paying so much.
That's hard math because this has a lot of miles, but he got this car 90% off the sticker price for the car, and like that's like, it's even cheaper when you factor inflation in.
Yeah. I don't know how these cars perform new, but I would never know the miles on this car were as high as they were. This thing is healthy. It pulls, and that is kind of going back to what you said, the high mileage. Don't let that number scare you if it has the M50, M52, M54 engine. These things have been extremely impressive. Yeah. They are very reliable. Parts are insanely cheap, and I'm talking getting OEM parts, like maybe not BMW specific, but OE, the manufacturers who build the parts for BMW, they're nothing.
I have only had Japanese cars. Like I'm a Japanese car guy, and so I never thought about these ever. But something I didn't consider was that BMW, the M52, the M54, for the years 97 to 06 or whatever, almost every single BMW had that engine in it.
And it's a global engine, so it's everywhere around the world. So the parts, they just made just infinity of them. So I don't think there's going to be a supply issue on the parts on this car anytime soon. And they just stay cheap, which is great. And to know you're getting a cheap price on an OE part has been fantastic. I get like excited about it. You probably saw in the other video, I love the manufacturing dates of everything. I don't know why.
I've always been very afraid of BMWs, like just because you're like, oh, they're so expensive to work on and replace meticulous. They're all high strung, all that stuff. I would 100% argue that for the M cars, they're very high strung machines.
That's separate. M car and these, that's a whole different ballgame.
Totally different. And these engines are, they're like Legos. You just, this is what you need, toop, unplug it, plug the new one in, boop, boop, and it was done. Like some of the jobs that we've done on the BMW so far, jobs you would think would take hours and hours and be super scary. It's like, oh, that's all we had to do? Like,
it's to the point that I feel nervous that I'm forgetting something. So I'm like, there's just no way this was as smooth as it was. I have no issues digging into this thing. Like, I feel more intimidated by the JZ engine than I do this, because this is so simple. Like, now that these cars are pushing 20 plus years old, like, this is probably my pick go-to for anyone who's getting into cars. Like, I would highly recommend an E36, E39, E46, anything with this engine as a first car, because it is extremely easy to work on. The information online is just, it's all over the place, and the parts are cheap. Anyone at any budget can keep one of these on the road.
As long as they don't overheat and the engine blows or something like that, definitely something to consider, especially like new, younger car guys who's like, there's nothing out there. Like, if you can find like a manual BMW, like you'll be really happy.
Manuals are everywhere. It's not like the Lexus where it's just 5%. Like, these transmissions are in every BMW, and I feel like just European cars as a whole just came manual more often.
Yes.
Like, the Lexus was scared to put manuals in their big luxury cars. They probably like wanted this.
The ultimate driving machine ethos, when you drive one of these older BMWs, it makes perfect sense. You're like, oh, like, okay. And I mean, and I'm just a passenger. You get to watch me do this for the first time in a little bit. But just sitting watching him do this, I'm like, man, like,
it just feels good.
It just feels good. It just, you're like, yeah, like
to go a little deep on everyone, like this car has re-sparked my interest in cars. I was one of those that just kind of, I was losing it. Like cars were expensive, kind of a pain in the ass to work on. I was just kind of over the car scene because I thought it was gone. And then ever since I've owned this car, I just want to drive it. I can't drive it enough. Like I've already put almost 3,000 miles on this car, and it's exciting every single time. If it's going to grocery shop, going to work, doing this, like it's a jack of all trades. I feel fine and have so much fun doing any sort of drive in this car. It is the best. It makes me want to work on cars again.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. We'd have conversations kind of before we started the channel, and it was like, it was just like, is it over? You know, like we were.
I was considering a CBT Civic.
Yes,
that's how bad I was.
Yes,
I was that checked out that I was like, I'll just get a Civic, normal people traffic car, and just blend in.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Like, I'll get the 40 miles per gallon and go to work,
it's
and like,
it's economical.
Yep, and I'll just watch people with, those crazy expensive cars, a GR86 or something.
Yeah.
I'll just watch them on the internet. Both cars being getting in these cars and getting parts and getting in the garage and just turn and wrench. This has been it's revitalizing.
Yeah.
It does. We've been talking off camera. It feels like our souls are kind of coming back a little bit, which is really special that these old cars can still draw that out of you.
I am a car guy again, and it already the demons start speaking. Like, oh, this car's great, supercharged. I already want to just mess up all the reliability because I want to tune it again. I want a car that I can make mine. Like right now, this car is still very much regular traffic, but it's a lot of fun to drive. But I want to start putting my personal twist on it, and I can't wait. I get so excited each time I get to buy parts for it.
Yeah, and we've been looking at, projects for the IS and everything. If you're going to do forced induction, it's like, how do you build a turbocharger kit for it? Is this the same one?
Yeah.
What the heck? Okay. Ooh. Man, this is smooth. Man, comfy, and all this stuff is in such good condition.
It's good.
I'm like,
it's good.
Yep. That's it. It's going to be a hard battle. Ooh. Oh man. All right, so my first time doing this. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a third pedal.
Yeah, third pedal right off the bat. From second one,
yeah,
I put the clutch in. No, boop, boop, boop.
Yeah, you want to feel cool?
Oh my gosh. Oh man, it's a little pull away. Oh, there's that guy. Man. So right off the bat, this, what's the power on this car?
It's listed at 190 horsepower and 220-ish pound-feet of torque.
Okay,
yeah. It's a lot.
It pulls way harder
Yeah.
than the Lexus, which is super interesting because on paper I'm like, oh, this thing weighs a lot more and it has less horsepower, but you put your foot down, man.
Yeah, maybe 190 at the wheels. I don't know. I feel like this is, it's got to be more than 200. It just, 190 and 34 whatever pounds this car is. It ain't mathing.
Yeah, the math doesn't math. You're just it feels good.
Yeah, it's got some pep to it.
Yeah.
Still, because of the power and everything, this I would still consider it's a momentum car. This thing is not gobs of power. It's not the B58 where it's just a infinity horsepower. Wah! So you still have to rev it out to get everything you want. This car really wakes up after about 4,000. That's when the Vanos kicks in, and it really kind of pulls all the way to all the way to red line. But it's just that's what to me makes it more fun. I can just kind of just drag it out, and I'm not going crazy fast in a straight line, but you can still keep the momentum in the turns.
Yeah, it's kind of weird thinking about a 5 Series as a momentum car.
It's strange. Yeah, this car, I think that's why I'm so excited, because it's a mystery.
Yeah.
This car is just something else.
Right, what's it going to do? Because anytime you touch the part of it, it turns it on a little bit more.
It keeps getting better.
It just keeps getting better.
I've never gotten so much satisfaction out of
maintaining a car.
Yeah, it's interesting. So like, yeah, the maintenance on the suspension will be super
Yeah, I
interesting.
can't wait. Like, I still have a few more things I want to do to the engine because I just want it dialed in. Once that's done, it's going to be suspension, maybe more power, and then play with the outside. But yeah, once the suspension is in, I'm not gonna be able to get enough of this thing. This thing just eats up the miles on the highway. Like, this thing is definitely born for the Autobahn. Like, highway, it's just, and one thing I've noticed, because now we've done about the same circuit in this car and the IS. The IS has already almost used a quarter tank of gas.
Oh.
The gas gauge is not even moved on this. Maybe tiny bit.
Yes.
So this thing has the distance too. I think it's like 450 plus miles a tank in this car.
They're both straight sixes. How do you get double the gas mileage? Like, it's...
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I think I might like have to close my eyes to JDM cars. It just, you know, I still love, you know, you've seen in the backgrounds the 4Runner. I adore that truck. That truck is just solid, and I will always like that. But as far as cars go, I think I might be turned. This car has convinced me.
Which is so scary.
It's hard.
We've been JDM guys
since I was 16.
Forever.
Yeah.
Like, as we met and bonded on that fact, you know, and like, I still feel JDM in my soul. Actually, by the time you see this, you guys will have seen the GTR video. Like, you should.
That was unexpected. We had no idea there was going to be a GTR just hanging out with us for the day.
Gosh, getting to get in it, like, it was an emotional experience.
It's
guys.
worth the hype.
It was 100% worth it. That car is unbelievable.
You just can't deny the power and just the presence of an R34.
Like, that was like the coolest car guy experience.
It was
ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
They're a lot smaller in person than I thought they would be.
They are a lot smaller. They have such huge presence on screen. They're huge. Like the Godzilla. Like, these are things that are world eaters. But like, that was unreal. I feel so lucky to have had that experience, because like, I think Donut did the Drive Every GTR video earlier this year.
Oh yeah.
And you know, you see like Nolan get emotional.
I get it now.
Car. And like, and it was like cool. It's so cool to watch him feel that thing, because it's like, that's something I'm never gonna get to do. So like that's probably how I'd feel in the car. And then we got to have that experience.
Yeah, because I won't ever have a GTR.
Right, that's like never gonna happen. So like, you know, and you react to it. I think I show like my heart rate monitor on my watch just spike through the roof. I'm just like, you just have that response to it. So like, that was super special. That was super cool. I say that to say, like, JDM is in our blood. So us driving a BMW, talking about BMWs, him being like closing his eyes to JDM, and me being over here scared, like, what are we doing? What's happening? Like, it's a very weird feeling.
Maybe it has to do with age too. I mean, we're in our 30s now, so that I don't know if that plays any part, but yeah, this car just makes me feel as excited about driving as my 240SX did. I get the exact same feeling. I get that teenager feeling out of this.
As you said, as we're getting older, like,
I appreciate this more. Probably more than I would if I was 18.
The 20-year-old in me loves the IS, loves the blue, loves the, you know, the kind of loudness of it, you know, both exterior and exhaust. This feels a lot better for the 33-year-old version. It's still super fun. It's very comfortable. It's still, there's still the sportiness to it. It's like more of like a complete package that you could easily live with like every single day.
And I can still do stuff to make it more sporty if I want. You know, there's tons of seat options for this car. There's tons of suspension options for this car. There's engine work I can do. So I can still go, you know, more sport, but I feel like I can sacrifice comfort for sport and still feel comfortable in this car. It has so much in comfort that I feel like it would take a while to make this car like not that fun to drive every day. It has a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah, you know, like I was going to talk about engine swaps or like forced induction. Like for the IS, it's like there's two schools of thought. You either turbocharge the non-turbo 2JZ, or you get a 2JZ GTE and swap that in. That used to be the move. It was a couple $1,000s for that engine from Japan, and then you can swap it in. That engine is like 10 grand now out of an Aristo. Like, it's so expensive.
Wow.
The other move, you know, you get the turbo kit, you get the wiring harness. There's a bunch of different ECMs in the IS that fight piggyback harnesses.
Yeah, you can tune the stock ECU on this car.
Yes.
I don't know if there's a difference if you were to manual swap it. That's why I'm just glad it's a manual to begin with. But yeah, people can put forced induction on these with the stock ECU, which I have never heard of before. Usually that's like, you know, our world, it's like that's the first thing you have to do is throw away that ECU and get an aftermarket one to handle boost.
Yep, you're going Gretty, you're offloading all your stuff onto an aftermarket ECU or a piggyback ECU. That's what we're used to. That's how you have to do it. Yeah. I'm scared to get bit by the BMW bug because I'm like you're seeing so many pros, especially
that bite hurts so good.
It hurts so good. This feels like where tuner culture for like young people are trying to do it more inexpensively.
Yeah,
it feels like that's
get an E46.
This is going. Go for go find an E46 with a manual and have a good time. Because
5-speed, it'll be cheaper. You don't need the 6-speed one.
Yes, it's not a big deal.
No.
That would legitimately be my recommendation after like having both these cars back to back. It's like, I feel like you're bang for buck somehow, you know, like it goes against everything in my brain. It's like you you get the Japanese cars because they're cheaper and reliable and all this stuff, and then now we're in this weird zone where no, actually BMWs are at the place where they're cheaper to buy, they're cheaper to maintain.
It flipped.
Yeah,
it totally flipped on us because it was cheap to own JDM cars. You know, I'd show my age. My 240 was $2,500. The entire SR20 swap, which was the engine, transmission, wiring harness, ECU, was another $2,500. And I think I pieced that whole car together for under $6,000-$7,000. That's how much an SR20 just costs today.
Now.
And the car is like, $8 to $10 grand. So it's changed. You know, this car is now cheap parts, cheap car, and I am completely for it.
So yeah, I guess we'll hop out and we'll do our final closing. But
yeah, we'll do our final thoughts.
There's definitely a lot to think about here, and please start leaving down in the comments what you guys think.
Yeah, what do you think of our opinions? What are your opinions?
What are your opinions? What do you think? Are we totally out of our minds? Like, are we kind of onto something? Like, I don't know. It's like it feels like the changing of the guard a little bit.
Almost.
Yeah, almost. So yeah, let us know. But yeah, let's do our outro.
Cool.
Well, that's it.
And we're back where we started. This has been a crazy trip. Cars are facing into the once was sunset.
This is not take two. We did not miss the sunset.
Yeah, this is the first time we're good. We didn't lose our audio or anything.
Yep.
But that's not the point. Euro JDM. I think it's safe to say, since I own this car, I'm probably a Euro boy now. So it is what it is. Came out swinging, gave me its best, but I don't know. But I think the more important thing is, what do you think?
And I mean, like, we're JDM. Like, we are JDM. He's JDM. I'm JDM.
Yeah.
Spooky's on the JDM. Like, look at this blue. Look at this blue. This is what we're here for. It's like JDM stuff. So it's like, it's hard. This car is insane. It's so good. And I truly believe that that's kind of where the scene is going. Like, cheap tuner ready cars for, just for anybody. I think Euro is the future. But you can't deny the style of this car. So I don't know. Like,
It's two sides of the same coin.
ow!
Yeah. Oh shit!
Gosh!
Shit!
What was that? What was that? I got big, guys. It bit me.
You got big bit.
It bit me.
Oh, bah! Ooh.